Hi, I'm Andrew, and welcome to the Neon Knitter. So, this is episode 20 of the Neon Knitter podcast. Can't believe it. I've made it to episode 20 now. This is crazy, you guys. Um, so today I have two finished objects, three whips, and I don't remember where my acquisition went, so I will. I don't know if I'll show it or not. Because I'm not sure where it went in my stuff, so I might not show it today. We'll see. Um, so I'm going to start with the elephant in the room, my first finished object. This is the One Shoulder Tunic by Teva Durham, and I cast this on and finished it since my last episode. As this is net on size 13 needles, and so it only took me 5 days to make. Um, the pattern is out of the book Loop to Loop by Teva Durham, and I checked that book out from the library, so yeah. The yarn I used is Skicel Cheerio in color number 5. 100% nylon, 68 yards, 25 grams. Um, I had 12 of these. If you're wondering, polyamide's the same thing as nylon. Um, I had 12 skeins of this. I only went through 6. So if you guys have any suggestions in the comments down below as to what I should do with 6 more skeins of this yarn, please let me know. Um, but yeah, I'm super happy with this. This is my very first sleeveless top I've ever made. So yeah, I love it. So this is a very interesting yarn. So I picked this yarn up at Stephen B in Minneapolis. It's like this nylon ribbon, but it's floral. Um, yeah, so it's very unique and interesting, and I knew I needed to make something unique and interesting out of it. Um, and it goes right down to my waist because I extended the body longer than the pattern said, of course, as I always do with my summer tops. I always extend the body longer than the pattern suggests because a lot of summer tops are designed to be cropped, and I don't wear cropped garments. So yeah, so I really, really loved this. Okay, so my next finished object, this is a cardigan that I made, and I am super happy with it. So let's backtrack to the pattern first. So Stephen B in Minneapolis, Minnesota has oftentimes a free bin of patterns. And sometimes they're patterns that are already free. Sometimes they are physical copies of paid for patterns that they're just trying to get rid of. And so they're just giving them away for free. It just depends. Now, this is a pattern I actually picked up pre-pandemic, so long time ago. And I finally got around to making it. This, I've never heard of Needful Yarns before, but this is the pattern that I followed. Um, and I can't find anything about Needful Yarns online. I get the sense that Needful Yarns doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there was a listing on Ravelry for a few of their patterns, but that was about it. And this is the Sabrina jacket. So it's the Sabrina jacket by Needful Yarn. And yeah, so I picked this up for free, probably like 2018 or 2019. Might have even been 2017, don't quote me on that. But this pattern, if I look inside here, is copyrighted 2007. So, pretty old pattern. And I am grateful I had a copy of it. And so it's been in my stuff for a while and in the back of my mind of, oh, maybe someday I'll make this. And then I was presented with the perfect yarn. I was going through my stash, and this actually calls for, let's see, 5 strands of yarn held together, but of a Aran or worsted weight. I only used 3 strands of my yarn. But I used Big Twist Reverb from Joann. I got it a few years ago. And I know I'm still upset about Joann's closing. Still upset. But anyways, I used Big Twist Reverb. The color is called Rust Red. Not sure what I did with the yarn labels, so I can't show you that. But yeah, and I held 3 strands together. I had 6 cakes of it. So yeah. And then these buttons I got at Stephen B in Minneapolis. These buttons I got a lot more recently. And they were on clearance. The 4 of them were in a little Ziploc bag for, I think, $6. So, yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this cardigan. It's my very first cardigan. It's also my very first work flat garment that is pieced together. And I've never set in sleeves before, so I'm super proud of that. Now, I was a little more confident doing this because it was a chunkier gauge. You'll see during my whips that I have a work flat sweater that I'm working on that is sport weight yarn. And that one I'm a little more intimidated by seaming because it's such a smaller gauge. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm super happy with how this cardigan turned out. Now, as you can see, the pattern has these really fancy clasps holding the cardigan shut. So, and it's got negative ease, and it doesn't close all the way because the fancy clasps are supposed to create decoration. Anyways, I wanted to use buttons on mine, so I made the next size bigger than what I would otherwise have to make for myself so that it would close up a little more, and then I added buttonholes. I maybe should have even gone one size bigger, but I don't know. I feel like if I went a size bigger, I'd be playing Yarn Chicken, so I didn't want to do that. But so some of the buttonholes do get tugged on quite a bit, and I feel like they get stretched out a little. And part of me is wondering if I should maybe do like a little crochet ring around each of the buttonholes to cinch them in a little, but I don't know because I don't want the buttons to not be able to fit through them because these are rather large buttons. So I'm not sure. But I'm really happy with my very first cardigan. And this is definitely a great pattern. Sorry, my microphone's about to fall off my shirt. I'm not sure why. There we go. But yeah, great pattern. I made it so that it hits me just at my waist, a little bit past, a little past my waist. And yeah, super happy with how this turned out. Um, if you find a copy of this pattern somewhere, I would highly recommend it. Um, oh yeah, and it's got this fancy collar detail as well, where you like do some increases and then some decreases to create these things, and then they sit like this. So yeah, this will hopefully get a ton of wear this winter. We're in the middle of July right now, so that's not going to be happening right now. If I wear it out and about at all this summer, it will be for the photo shoot, which I haven't done yet. Other than that, I'm going to wait to wear it till this winter. And yeah, so I'm super happy with this cardigan. Okay, let's move on to whips. So, I have 3 whips to share today. Here's my first whip, the one I've been most actively working on lately. And this is the, hang on, let me see if I can, yeah. This is the Blank Slate Tee by Winter's Weather Knits. So, it's got kind of a goofy construction that I've not seen before in a sweater pattern. And by the way, right after I bought this yarn, she did come out with the long sleeve version. So now the Ravelry listing should just say Blank Slate, because you get both versions when you buy the pattern. And so I got the long sleeve one as a library update on Ravelry. But I bought the yarn for the short sleeve one, and personally, I like the short sleeve one. I like how it looks better. So, but what it is basically on the front, and I will have popped a photo on the screen from the designer. But on the front, you have this big rectangle of stockinette stitch. Well, the whole thing's stockinette stitch, but this big intarsia rectangle. And then the back is just plain. So, how it works, it's really weird. You cast on the back stitches, and then you would do what would effectively be the short row shaping. So you've got, I don't know if you can see all the increases here with all those eyelets, and then you stop doing that at a certain point, but you keep doing the shoulder increases. Um, and then you get to a certain point, you cast on the front stitches, and then you pop the back stitches onto waste yarn and knit the entire front, and then you do the ribbing at the bottom, and then you pick up the back stitches and knit the back, and then you make the sleeves, set them in, and then sew the side seams. I think that's a really weird construction because I'm used to seeing work flat sweaters being a separate front and a separate back, and then you attach them later. But as long as I get a nice sweater, it doesn't matter how the pattern's constructed. But yeah, so the yarn I am using is Brown Sheep Lamb's Pride Superwash Sport. And the color is Shane's Red. And this is 100% wool. Yeah, and I'm really happy with how that looks knit up with my contrast color, which is from, this is a skein from Nome Schoolhouse in Nome, North Dakota. I think it's North Dakota. Could be South Dakota. I don't remember. But and I'm really bad at my state shapes sometimes. So um, but this is their Dakota spun yarn. It's a sport weight yarn, and 400 yards. It's wool and Teeswater silk, or excuse me, silk and Teeswater wool. Sorry. Um. Anyways, the information's here. Um. And this was, if you've been a long time viewer, you will know that this is the yarn that I purchased at Shepherd's Harvest in 2024. So, yeah, I am plugging away at the backside of this, and this is my knitting project I work on when I'm watching TV and when I'm riding public transit. And so this is my most active whip at the moment. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's going. I hope to have it as a finished object by my next episode. Um, because I know some podcasters release episodes on a certain schedule. I like to release my episodes when I have a finished object to share. That is my rule of thumb. Is I feel weird if I don't have a finished object to share. But if it becomes long enough between episodes, then I'll release one just to update you guys on stuff, because I have a few episodes where I don't have finished objects. But yeah, so hopefully that'll be my finished object in my next episode. We'll see. Um, and then my next whip is a pattern that I am self-drafting myself. Um, no, I am not releasing this as a design because this is too complicated to write up, and this whip is several years old. I forget when I started this, but anyways, let me grab my yarn label. So this whip, I am knitting a tote bag. So I have done the sides, obviously, and I am working on the bottom. And then I just have to figure a few more things out. Oh wait, I lied. I have 4 finished objects. Not 3. Um, so this is knit out of Aunt Lydia's heavy rug yarn. A friend of my grandma was getting rid of a whole box of it and knew that me, her grandson, is a knitter and thought I might like it. So she gave it to my grandma to give to me, and this was a box I got many years ago. I don't know, I think it might have been like 2018 or 2019 that I got it. Don't quote me on that, but I think it may have been. Yeah, so this was, I started this, I don't remember when I started it. It's on my project page on Ravelry if you're curious. It's under Gradient Tote Bag. But autumn colors are my favorite. And so, yeah. So I've got 5 different colors in this. Um, I don't remember the names of all of them, but I'm pulling out my labels to see if I can figure it out. Okay. I think this one at the bottom here is chestnut. Then this next one here, I believe, is rust. Then this one is burnt orange. This one I believe is called tangerine, I think. And the yellow was missing its label, so I'm just calling it yellow because I don't know what it's actually called. The label was missing. So, um, yeah, so I have a few more steps once this is finished. I need to make handles. I don't know if I'm going to knit them or if I'm going to purchase some bag handles. I don't know yet. And I need to figure out how to line this. And guys, I just recently started taking a sewing class. I'm super excited about it. I've only had 1 week of it so far. This coming weekend is my second week of my sewing class. So, yeah, I'm super excited about that. More on that in a minute, which is why I realized I have 4 finished objects to share. But yeah, more on that in a little bit. I'm going to show my third knitting whip before um, well, actually, my next whip's a crochet whip. But, yeah, so this is a thing I am working on. Um, Hopefully this will be another finished item at my next episode. Um, Hopefully when I line it, I can get the stockinette to stop curling. We will see. But this yarn is 100% polyester. Um, so we'll see. All right, move on to my next yarny whip before we move on to what I made at my sewing class. So this is actually a crochet whip. This is another pattern I am designing myself, and I will not be releasing this pattern either. I do have some plans in the future to maybe design a few things to release as patterns, but I don't know if it'll be this year or not. Probably not, because I only have a few free patterns up online, and they're all shawls, really. There's a cowl and a hat, but the link to my designs has been in the description of all my videos, so feel free to check them out. They're nothing special. Um, they're just some earlier things that I was experimenting with. And none of my patterns cost money at the moment, but some of the future designs I might charge for. We'll see. But at the moment, I only have one design on my needles that I'm planning to maybe release, but I am not going to show that until it is further along in its process, because I don't want to get you guys excited if it doesn't work. So, yeah. So I'm not showing that whip today. But anyways, this is a crochet whip. I am making a granny square tank top. And I will give a link in the description down below to Jada in Stitches. She has a video on how to join granny squares as you go. And that is the tutorial I was following on how to attach the granny squares. Now, I probably made a mistake by not weaving in my ends as I go, because I have a lot of ends, and I'm a little intimidated by all that, but anyways, let me see if I have, yes, here we go. Trying to see if I had a skein of my yarn that still had its label on it. I am using Dale Garntior. This particular one is color 20. That's the white. And then the other colors are just scraps of it that I had, because a friend of mine was getting rid of a whole bunch of Dale Garntior and gave it all to me. So there was a bunch of white, there was a bunch of this one red color, and then there was a bunch of like single skeins and half skeins and quarter skeins of other colors. So I'm trying to incorporate them all into a project. But yeah, so here's where I'm at currently. Obviously, I got to finish this round and I got to do a few more rounds. But I was originally going to make this long sleeve, but then I realized I wouldn't be able to figure out how to continue the checker pattern. And I wanted to try it on to see if it fit me right while it was still like this before I would potentially try to do sleeves. And I tried it on and it was like, wow, this is actually really cute as a tank top. So I've decided to just go ahead and make it a tank top. I'm a little bit bummed out that I didn't get it done in time for a couple weekends ago. 2 weekends ago, me and my friend went to Minneapolis Pride Fest, and I really wanted to wear this to it, but oh well, I had another outfit. So, yeah. So maybe I'll wear this to Pride next year. We'll see. I might have another rainbow summer top coming up as well. I'll explain that in another episode. Um, but yeah, so I really love how this is going. I'm using a size US 7 hook, which I believe is 4.5 millimeter. Um, yeah, and they're all 2-row grannies. Um, and yeah, I could not be happier with how this is turning out. I'm just intimidated by weaving all those ends in, but it will be done. It shall be done. I don't know if this will be a finished object in my next episode or if it'll be a finished object in the following episode because I want to kind of spread out my FOs so that I can not have a bunch in one episode and not in the next. So, yeah. But anyways, super happy with this and looking forward to having it off the hook. Okay, my final finished object I am super proud of, you guys. Excuse me. So my final finished object is what I made at the first week of my sewing class. So, I made a pillow. I'm super proud of this. This has, so not only did I have to make the outer lining, I had to sew the insert as well, and I had to stuff that with polyfill, and then I made this. And I sewed 3 sides of it on the machine, and then the 4th side I didn't because I had to stuff the pillow. So they had me use what's called invisible thread to finish up that seam. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. Fun fact, this fabric actually glows in the dark. Um, I didn't pick it because of that. I picked it because it's black and white, and y'all probably have noticed my love of zebras by seeing my background. So, yes. Super happy with my technically second sewing project. Because my very first sewing project was actually a drawstring bag, but I made that a while ago. Yeah, and once I get good enough, then the library in downtown St. Paul has free sewing machines. You just have to reserve one. And then, yeah, you just have to reserve a sewing machine. You just have to go through the orientation for the Innovation Lab at the George Latimer Library. And there's a lot of things there. Comment down below if you guys would like me to do a tour video of the Innovation Lab at the George Latimer Central Library. Okay guys, sorry about that. The battery on my microphone just died. So I'm going to be a little closer to the camera so you can still hear me over my fans. Because I'm not willing to turn my fans off for audio quality because it is super warm. So, um... So I will have to charge my microphone before I film the footage of my other finished object, which I'll splice into the video earlier. Which means I might have to film that part after my shift at work. We'll see. But the Innovation Lab at the George Latimer Central Library in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, has sewing machines, and they have the thread, the fabric, they have the patterns, everything. They even have a serger. They have a 3D printer, a leather cutter, there's knitting and crochet supplies, They have, oh, and for sewing, they have like buttons and beads and everything. They have paper quilling supplies. They have beading supplies. They have a laser engraver. They have video editing software. They have a recording studio. They have lots of things. And also, fourth Wednesday of the month, the Innovation Lab has Craft Circle, which I go to every month. So, yeah, one of these days I need to go over there and do the orientation for the Innovation Lab because that's not required for Craft Circle, but it is to use the sewing machines or borrow the patterns, the sewing patterns. Um, that's also the part of the library where all the crafting books are, including knitting. So, yeah. So comment down below if you'd like me to do a tour of the Innovation Lab one of these days, because it is really cool and worth checking out if you're in the area. Um, I don't think you have to have a St. Paul library card in order to use the Innovation Lab. You just have to have a library card at a different library, and I think you register your card for St. Paul. Because I know my library card, my St. Paul Public Library card, is registered for Ramsey County Libraries and Hennepin County Libraries because they had some books I wanted that St. Paul didn't have. So I was able to just walk up to the service desk and register my card. So I think you can register your card for St. Paul if you want to use the Innovation Lab. Um, but yeah, it's really cool. So I can definitely film a tour if you guys are interested. Um, but that is primarily probably where I'll be doing my sewing. They do offer sewing classes 2 Saturdays a month at the Innovation Lab. However, those don't work with my schedule, unfortunately. So I am taking my classes elsewhere. The classes at the library are free. The class I'm taking is also free. It is at a place in St. Paul called the Black Youth Healing Arts Center. And basically, the Black Youth Healing Arts Center is primarily geared towards African American youth and like a lot of cultural things that they would typically do. But they do on Sunday afternoons offer a free sewing class. And so I decided to go and investigate that, and I really had a great time the first time I was there. Now, that'll be almost 3 weeks ago now because uh, last weekend was Independence Day, and so they didn't have class, and then the weekend before, the instructor was out of town, and then the weekend before that was when I had my first um, week of class, and the week before that was Father's Day, so they didn't have it. But yeah. So super excited to be taking a sewing class, and I look forward to all the things I'm going to be making in the future, including lining that gradient tote bag I'm knitting. So if I get the bottom done, hopefully I can get that hopefully lined. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so needless to say, my goal is to learn how to make apparel because I'll walk into a fabric store and be like, why isn't that piece of fabric a shirt at Walmart or Target? Because I really like that print on that fabric. So I'm going to learn how to make it into a shirt or whatever garment I want to make. And then I also am going to be making hopefully, I have all the supplies to make a project bag for my knitting. I say I have all the supplies. I don't have interfacing, but I think the Black Youth Healing Arts Center has interfacing already. My pillow was made out of fabric that they had there, so yeah. And I wish I could show you the glow-in-the-dark aspect of this pillow, but I tried taking a picture of it when it was glowing in the dark, and it does not photograph well. I just get a pitch black photo, so you would have to see it in person. Um, yeah, and so in the future there could also be fabric shop tours, and also in the future fabric acquisitions to share. Um, as I get more into sewing as well. I do have some fabric I could show you guys, but I don't know where I put it at the moment, so I'm not going to show you right now. But it's the fabric for my project bag I want to knit, or knit. So yeah. So, looking forward to that. And yeah, so let me know if you want to see more sewing content also, because I plan to do a tour at, or I don't know if I plan to do a tour, but I plan to go to a couple fabric shops soon. Because there's a couple in St. Paul that I've never been to before. Um, there is the Sewing Lounge in St. Paul, which is over on Marshall Avenue, and then there's So Inviting, which is over on Snelling Avenue. And then in Minneapolis, there's Knit and Bolt, which is a yarn shop and a fabric shop all in one. Excuse me. And then there is out in Burnsville, there is S.R. Harris, which is supposedly a big fabric warehouse. I've never been there. I think they have one in Brooklyn Park also, and I think that one might be bigger than the Burnsville one, but I've never been to either one, so that'll be something I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to seeing how Michaels increases their fabric stash, because that would be pretty cool also. Because with the absence of Joanne, it's going to make it a little trickier to procure fabric. And my local Hobby Lobby closed. It was the one that I filmed in those tours that couple of times. That particular Hobby Lobby um, sadly closed. So I will not be able to go there anymore. I have to go to an outer suburb to go to a Hobby Lobby. And I only shop at Hobby Lobby if I absolutely have to these days because I don't 100% agree with their politics, but this is not a political podcast, so I'm going to move on now. I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, that I only shop there when I have to, when I can't get something elsewhere. Like, for example, their line of hand-dyed yarns they have. Some of them are absolutely stunning, so stuff like that. But I try to go elsewhere if I can. Um, yeah, so now the only thing I have near me is Michael's. Um, but yeah, if I have to go to Hobby Lobby, I'll just go out to an outer suburb. Because there's one over near the Mall of America. So, yeah. But anyways, so that's really all I have to share about the things. I will go charge my microphone before I film my other finished object. Not sure where my acquisition went, so I will have to show that another time. But um, anyways, I'm Andrew. Thank you for checking in here at the Neon Knitter, and I will see you in my next one.